From Rule 62 Studios in Bossier City, Louisiana, this is The Grouch and the Brainstorm. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh, Matt spoke first.
That's right.
Welcome back to The Grouch and the
Well,
Brainstorm. I'm Mike.
wait.
I'm here today with Matt
Hey, man.
and Jill.
Everybody.
Hey.
And Billy is our special
Really don't
guest.
talk much.
Hey, BB.
And Billy refuses to put on headphones, so we will not allow her to speak.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably best.
And I'm talking about Jill's cat, actually. So Jill's kitty cat, Billy.
Yes.
Just so clarify. We are, what episode, man?
60?
If you use the Julian calendar, yes.
That's what I go by, is the old
Okay.
Julian calendar.
This is season 2, episode 13. Or if you just look at straight episodes, it's 60.
I found out what the Julian calendar was about 45 seconds before you asked me that question. So
Well.
that's what I use now.
Okay. Now you're on
Converted.
your own day number, whatever it is, and you can pull that up. And I think the Julian calendar only has like 366 days, and then it starts over. I may be wrong. 365 and a third.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that some kind of Greek thing or something? Like,
No, it's Julian.
I don't know who Julian
He's
is.
John Lennon's son. But listen, we Matt celebrated a birthday, right?
I did.
Sure
I did.
How many years?
6.
6 years, man. Congratulations, dude.
We got a couple people having one actually today.
Dickie
While we're-
T
Yeah.
and
Dickie and Chris C.
Chris
who
C.
both have been on here quite a bit.
yeah, Chris C's been on a couple times. I think we've only had Dickie once, and we need to bring her back in here.
Yes, we do.
And she actually has, for, not to tell her business, but her son plays baseball and they have a pretty full summer. So we tried to get her right before that, and she wanted to come on, but she's going to do it when baseball season's over. So
Okay.
we'll have her
Good.
back.
Well, we can have her flown in for the show.
Yeah. Well, dropped out of a crop duster isn't exactly.
Well, yeah, I could. I was thinking UPS package. You can get a box long enough, put a body in it.
She's awesome. She's just awesome. So
Yeah.
and Chris, I mean, he's just does
I think
all
we
the
need
stuff.
to get them both
you know?
on, just see what it's like a year later. I wonder if our audience will be able to tell, like, a
Right.
year's worth of growth, because both of them have actually done the deal of the year. They've grown this year, so it ain't like it's gone in another direction. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, they and Chris actually just started working with me at a treatment place, and he's doing great with that. I mean, he just took right off with it and jumped right in, and and Dickie is doing her thing like always. So I like to see people that really have a program and do the stuff we talk about doing. They're always successful. We're always successful when we do those few things. So
Yeah.
but proud of both of them.
I had a sponsee, pick up a foremanship yesterday, so I'm
Okay.
super proud of
And
her.
what's their name?
Courtney.
Courtney. Okay.
Congratulations, Courtney.
Yeah, that's the man. All good stuff, man.
Yeah.
By the way, how are because we have not actually sat down together. We're dropping this episode on a Wednesday, which is unusual for us. But how the pigs and the chickens?
Chunk and Bud are doing great. The chickens are definitely growing. I'm starting to expose them to the outside, free range, if you will, and it's very questionable to them. Very curious. My first day I opened it, they just looked. They
They
couldn't
wouldn't
even-
go outside.
Oh no! Well, they've been babies.
Chickens.
They haven't been outside yet.
Well, they ain't been inside. You know what I'm saying?
They've been inside for what?
Not in the house.
5 weeks. Because they're babies.
Oh, in the little chicken
Yes, they had the
village
heat lamp
or whatever.
on them.
Okay,
The chicken.
I got you. Whatever. I got you. I'm working with you now.
And I opened their little gate, and they're just kind of like,
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Chicken Village. I like that.
Chicken village.
that is exactly what I
Sounds
will
like something in
call.
Nevada.
Oh,
working
that would
with me
be
there.
the chicken ranch. and they do not go outside either.
Kind of vampire over at that place. You know what I mean? Yeah.
little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the animals are doing well.
Different kind of
and
corn.
life's pretty damn good.
Matt, how about you over there, buddy?
Man, everything's good. Had a birthday, ran in and just and I think Chris and Dickie would say this, and y'all probably too, like ran in there the other night. And it's just a thing of everybody around me that just is involved with helping me stay sober every day, and that's really all it is, man. It's a day. It's great, and I always look at birthdays like that. It's just a time to recognize people that, keep me out of the ditch, and that's really what it is. It's not nothing to do with me. So, but very grateful for it. And, man, life's been good this year. It's getting better. And, I can't believe how good it's been in 6 years. So, from where it was,
And you spent the last year of it with us here on this podcast.
I did. I did.
Pretty cool. Too.
I mean, I can assure you on May 6th of 2018, if you'd have said, hey, you're going to be on a podcast about sobriety, I'd have been like, I think you got the wrong guy. May still have the wrong guy. I don't know. But
Seriously, that's anything that I've done in recovery. If you would have told me that February 15, 2010, I would have been like,
yeah.
well,
I would have been like, what's a podcast? What the hell?
Well,
what is that?
true.
Well, true. But I mean, like anything to still staying sober and all the beautiful things that have happened in my life.
Amazing stuff, huh?
Yeah.
I was
Cool.
thinking yesterday, me and my son, I got a boat slip out there on Joe Pool. So my boat's permanently on the lake where you just drive out, jump on the boat, take off, and there's gas there and everything. Like you literally,
Nice.
Yes.
Like a slip.
It is a slip.
Oh, I got you.
I got a boat slip, and we were out there fishing yesterday, and I was thinking about, like, how is this even possible? He's catching fish left and right. I was thinking about that Trace Atkins song. She thinks we're just fishing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't give a damn if I catch anything or not. I'm just out there spending time with him, watching him catch fish, and that was pretty cool. We had a really good time, and just starting to, just enjoy life a little bit. I still work all day, every day, but it's only about a 20-minute drive from my job that's not something I could do,
Yeah.
So pretty cool deal. Well, we are gonna pick up with where we were on how it works. So this is going to be how it works part 2, if you will. And as case you didn't notice, we don't have a guest today. The joke about Billy, that was a joke. We obviously don't have a guest today.
Billy can't read either.
Billy, yeah, well, the chickens probably can because they haven't been outside. But
Yeah.
Spoiled chickens. But we are going to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to read back, not a whole paragraph. Well, actually, I'm going to read back from the beginning of the paragraph. These are small paragraphs, though. So at some of these we balked. Thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Now, I want to say something before we roundhouse this, do the old Chuck Norris on it. This is the part that I was talking about in the last episode that tends to grow with recovery. Some of us tried to hold on to our old ideas, but the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Now, Randy T told me when I first got to AA, what is the first thing you do when you decide to get a new car? And yes, it's a trick question, okay? I just hear me out here, because I'm thinking what you're thinking now. Of course, I've heard this for 12, 13 years now, but, I was thinking, I guess go to the car lot.
Get rid of the old ones.
Guess what he said? Give up on the old car, right? That is, guys, this can be with, and I'm not encouraging anybody, but this could be with a marriage or a relationship. This could be with a job.
Yeah.
If we don't let go of our old ideas when it comes to anything, but yet we want something else, the result is going to be nil unless we absolutely let go. And that has just proven to me, and this could be simple stuff, right? I'm talking about, this could be stuff that means nothing about nothing.
Yeah.
Or it could be important stuff like a relationship or
Or thoughts.
thoughts is probably,
in the negative thought patterns, the cognitive distortions, irrational beliefs, all kinds of stuff.
yeah. but our results always going to be nil.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know about you guys, but I mean, how many times have you said this time's going to be different? You got to let go of those old ideas. I can do it alone was probably my worst enemy. I can do this by myself. I can read the big book. I can, and bad stuff, just bad stuff. So what do you think, Matt? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, but in order for me being hard headed to let go of stuff, I just had to be thoroughly beat with it. I mean, it was like I couldn't. At the point I was at when I got there, I couldn't come up with any type of concoction or way in my head or trick in my head to justify doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And when I got there, then I was willing to listen.
But don't you think like it happened, it was like a process? Because there were still like some things I was still wanting to hold on to. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm surrendering everything and I'm done. I mean, there was a lot of give and take of like surrender, taking it back. And, there were some things, especially when it came like, yeah, I got rid of the drugs and the alcohol. But I think like me and my way of thinking was worse for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And there were still some old ideas and things that I thought like, well, this doesn't have anything to do with my sobriety and me using drugs and alcohol. I can still do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get you. 100%.
But I still realized that it was just complete BS. And again, my results were absolutely nil. And when we say nil, that's nothing. I didn't see results until I changed like my beliefs, which in turn changed my actions, my feelings, my attitudes, and everything.
And would you agree it kind of keeps us miserable in recovery?
It absolutely can.
Like,
I can still go back to those beliefs if I let myself. And, the thing is, like, I've done work on myself and I have coping skills and things that I can use to just keep me out of that area of my mind where all that old and lame ways of life and thinking are back there and all.
And now, even today, I was talking to somebody the other day that has about 5 years, and I just asked her, I said, do you ever just have like an urge to go drink or use? And she goes, no, not really. And I said, yeah, I don't really have that. I said, what I have is self-pity in my ear.
Yeah.
Bullshit in my ear. You ain't the little voice talking. That leads to that crap. But that's it's not I'm going to drive in Thrifty right now and grab 2 bottles of turkey and stick them both in my ears and go on a 3-state shooting spree. No.
And that's exactly what I was talking
when
about.
I get down, Mike.
Well, it's those defeating thoughts. And
yes, you do.
And I realized that self-pity was my that was my main defect of character that I just couldn't shake for a really long time.
Well, I just hear negative stuff. It can be that. It could be it's a lack of gratitude and lack of, when I hear that little stuff starting in my head, I start going, uh-oh.
Well, you hear, like, if you sit and talk to people who don't have a program, right? Just a regular person. Don't even have to have a drinking problem. Just, no drugs, no drinking, or they drink, whatever. Don't have a problem. And you can hear a lot of times where they have started the comparison game in their head already and they don't feel appreciated, and this person gets this, but I don't get this. And if I allow myself, I can go in that same direction. Right?
Absolutely. I was just doing that recently.
How come I don't get all the credit for all this, whenever so-and-so, and realistically, that's none of my business.
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear that.
Absolutely.
That is none of your business. Why somebody else, whatever, mind your business. You stay happier that way.
Well, I think that like what we've been taught in the rooms is, we didn't get anywhere stuck in the problem.
Right.
We are given solution, and that we need to stick in that solution instead of the problem.
And, I hear now a lot at treatment. Chris and I were talking about this, and you hear new people coming in and you realize how much things have changed, but it's always the problem. Well, this. No, you got to look yourself in the mirror at some point and go, here's the problem, stand in the mirror. When you do that, we got a shot. But
Yeah.
it's crazy to listen to that all the time.
And a lot of it, I mean, just if they could ever, or they, whoever they are, I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but can look at it from a outside looking in kind of thing, and be like, you're a grown ass man who's still making excuses for why you can't do anything with life. And the truth is, nobody is that victimized.
I'll be honest with you. I got fired up. I had to do rules group earlier this week, okay? And we read the rules because we have new clients that come in. It's like 60 rules. And it becomes this thing of, why am I only got 10 minutes on my phone time? And y'all cut me out. And it's all this petty stuff. And it becomes this big discussion. And so we had administration in there talking to them, explaining how things went, blah, blah, blah. Well, we don't think that. We should get more phone time than that. And I finally cut it off. And I said, I'm going to tell you what. I love y'all. But if you want to get more phone time, get out of rehab. Quit doing dope. I get to use my phone all I want to.
Good idea.
I can go fishing. I can go eat when I want to. I can buy what food I want to buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't come to rehab. We have rules.
And I do that a lot where I work.
And they may not have wanted to hear that, but I didn't really care.
I tell them exactly what they don't want to hear. I
Yeah.
shut it down. I'm like, okay, you want to get in the solution?
Yeah.
Then stop doing what you're doing.
But the solution's hard, Jill. Nobody
it
wants.
really is.
Nobody wants to be in the solution. There's not enough drama in the solution.
Right?
And then what am I going to have to bitch about?
Right.
Yeah.
What if this solution actually works? Then what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And there's that scary thing too of that I had of like what's left. When I clear that up, I've been dealing with this crap junk of ball of crap my entire life. What do I do then? I removed it. What's going to take its place? And that's kind of a weird.
Well, and
'cause
change.
it's familiar,
Like all of it. Like you were saying, like I'm comfortable with this, even though it's negative and it's horrible. This is what I know.
And I've seen too with that, like the phone deal. It's like, well, we can find something to be disgruntled about. Well, then therefore nothing's our fault that happened because I wasn't allowed to overuse my phone time. So it must be those people. No, we didn't go hold you at gunpoint and bring you in here. You know?
Yeah.
And
And he's lucky he even has the phone time because some places you don't.
yeah, I didn't. And that's what I told them.
I don't even know what phone time is, man.
When you get to use the phone,
Why don't they just use their cell phone?
they're taken away.
They don't give cell phones in rehab.
Well, that would probably
That would cause
discourage
8
me
million.
from going to
There would be-
rehab right there.
There would be
There's some.
strikes.
I don't think many people used cell phones when I was in rehab, to come to think of it.
Mine was so busted when they locked it up. When I got it back out, it just wouldn't turn back on.
I
It's
think
done.
like flip phones were.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
iPhone 2.
It's a
or
big
3.
deal now, but they have access to it. They can do it. There's a time to do it, and but it's just those little things that they want to, and it's just not all of them, but they want to have this discussion about.
Yeah,
it.
and they don't know the lesson that is teaching is that like possibly it's impulse control, problems with immediate gratification.
It's not all about me. That's one that we
exactly.
learned. And that's what I
Exactly.
told them. I said, there's 60 clients in here. Why do you get to use it for 45 minutes to talk to Boo while everybody else is waiting to use the,
Yeah.
it's all about me.
Yeah.
So, and it just, I mean, I was grateful. I know it sounds like I'm being a pain in the butt about it, but where I went, it was the same thing. They broke that down real quick, and they're like, hey, if you want to go out and everybody keep making excuses, the door's right over there, but we're not going to do that here. And it was shape up or ship out.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. And every tech where I work, my counselor, it was this, we're going to do it this way or hit the road. And it worked for me, so I just do the same way I was done. So,
I get that.
but anyway,
So we have to let go of our old ideas, is what you're saying.
sure.
Even if that old idea is ingrained in our head. I used to say this, and we're going to move on to the next line after I say this.
Yeah.
But you ever see that tree that has barbed wire growing through it?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, the barbed wire didn't grow through the tree. The tree grew around the barbed wire, right? And that's almost how hard it is to let go of our old ideas. That barbed wire's got to come out, but not only does it have to come out, but new barbed wire has to go in where that was. And that is tough.
Yeah, it's like creating new neural pathways.
I was thinking like, yeah, I was thinking.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I could
Glad
see
Jill-
I could see the hamster in Matt's
You
head.
took the words right out of my mouth.
You've done said neuro and cognitive in the same conversation. So,
Now you're speaking my language.
but almost like that's how the English language is in my head, right?
Yeah.
It grew there. My mind grew up around it, and alcoholism, the drink habit, it was almost like that tree. My mind grew around the alcohol, the drinking, and then so that had to come out, which it never will, and new had to go in.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a story in Big Book where, you know, the doctor, I don't remember his name. He's talking to one of the early guys in Alcoholics Anonymous about changing his thoughts and emotions and the things that used to drive us change. Dr. Carl Young,
Yeah.
talking to Bill Dodson in that story, and we'll talk about that one day soon. But back to where we were. Okay, so remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. What do you think he meant by that?
That there is relief,
Yeah.
that there is a solution.
And may you find him now.
Because you die if you don't.
Find something now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to go back to there. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. And Bill leaves out, possibly to me, the most important one of these is patient. Because alcohol or whatever it is inside of our head, and we have to remember sometimes we give alcohol some human characteristics. You know, it's out in the parking lot doing push-ups, waiting on me. Alcohol don't give a rat's ass about anything because it has no mind. Everything that alcohol is given to it by us. Every characteristic, every flaw, everything wrong with alcohol is truly given to alcohol by the human mind. All of those characters, it doesn't do anything by itself. It is an inanimate object. So we do. Alcohol is cunning, it's baffling, and it's powerful, but it's also in our heads. That's where all this occurs. It doesn't occur in a glass or in a bottle sitting on a shelf somewhere.
Right.
And I think whenever I first got there, you know, I gave alcohol all these human characteristics, and you know,
Best friend.
And like
alcohol is a drink.
And I don't know if this pertains or not, but I've always thought this too. I'm not anti-alcohol. I'm not anti at all, man.
Nope.
If I could go home and have a beer and chill out after cutting grass, that'd be great. I can't. I wind up with the wild turkey in both ears, robbing 3 states. That's what happens after one beer. You know, I mean, I can't stop.
Well,
And
for millions, possibly billions of people, it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
yeah, and I'm not anti-alcohol, and I think people get that twisted. It's my interaction with alcohol that's the problem. You know,
Absolutely.
it just is.
Yeah,
So-
I've actually thought about getting someone who drinks to come on the show, like a regular drinker, and just ask them questions.
yeah, absolutely.
And their mind's going to be blown, and our mind's going to be blown. And the
Right.
truth is, they're just normal people sitting across from each other having a
Yep.
conversation about something that affects me differently than it does them.
yeah.
You know,
It's wild. It really
it
is.
is.
And I
you
always
know-
like to hear people go. And I have a good friend that here in town, a businessman, and we talked about this. And he pours a drink in his little tumbler every day after work, and he drives home. That's his drink. He has one drink. He's done every day. And he's like, "Yeah, I get a little lightheaded if I." And I'm like, yeah, "That's the fun part, you know. Like you're skipping the good part, dude."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I can't handle that. I get." And I'm like,
That's so
I don't
odd.
understand that."
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I went in his office and he's got this
Blackouts and-
huge decanter of whiskey. I don't know what it is because it don't have a name on it. But that thing's been in there forever. I'm like, you ever gonna drink all that, dude? You're like, let's go. You know, I mean,
well, I
it'll
mean,
be there forever.
you hear people like even commercials. They'll talk about, you know, always drink responsibly. Why even sell this shit
What's
to
the
me?
point?
Yeah, what is the point?
I want to drink
know,
irresponsibly.
That's like selling me ice and saying, "Do not eat frozen." It doesn't make any sense to me. The whole point in alcohol is to drink it irresponsibly. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I have honestly thought about having at one point having somebody come by the show and that drinks just a regular, normal. Yeah, I have a glass of wine with,
Now I will tell you, and I don't have, and I'm so grateful I don't have those socially. I'm able to just pretty much go do what I want to do. I don't go hang out in bars by any means, but restaurants, things like that. Go out the other night on with a young lady to eat dinner, and it's like college night at this place. Okay, it must have been like $5 all you can drink or something. I don't know what the special was, but they were tearing the building down. Couldn't hear myself thinking there, and we're just trying to eat dinner, and it was great for about an hour. And then I was like, they're just getting on my nerves. And maybe it's just because I'm old. It may not have had anything to do with the alcohol. But I'm pretty grateful today that it's just not a thing of, I don't give it much thought. And
I don't either.
I just go do my thing. And
I go to restaurants constantly. It doesn't even ever cross my mind.
Well, I mean, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know if I don't know. I would go to a restaurant when I was drinking just for the alcohol, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
I don't really.
2 for 1.
Yeah. 2 for 1. And again, what is 2 gonna do for me? I need
more than 1.
I need the 12-to-1 ratio, people. Give me the full gamut. But but it's cunning, baffling, and powerful, but it's also patient. And the reason I throw that in there, and it's not in the big book, and I really don't like throwing stuff in there, it's not in the big book, but patient is, I've just seen too many people get too confident in their recovery. And so we're dealing with something that's cunning, it's baffling, it's powerful. It's powerful, if you think about this in a mathematic or scientific form. Now, in step 1, I admitted I was powerless. Alcohol is powerful. If you put the two together, I'm not going to win. Under no amount of time of recovery, I'm going to lose. Unfortunately, it is a fight, right? Yeah. I'm going to lose that battle because I haven't quite understood, there's something that might be missing in my recovery. So alcohol being cunning, baffling, and powerful, it's not going to sneak up behind you. You're going to do all this to yourself.
Yeah.
Period. No one's going to sit there and talk you into drinking. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you were beat down bad enough in your original trip to in recovery, ain't nothing going to happen other than whatever you allow to happen to you. In my opinion, maybe that's a little harsh, but that's just the truth. So alcohol is, we got to remember, it's cunning. Now, there is one that is all powerful. May you find him now. That one is God. Okay? May you find him now. Now, what do you think they mean by God? That's
a higher power
tough
of your
question.
Of your understanding.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the best things that Bill and Bob came up with is we're not choosing it for you. You can I think that is what probably has made this successful. And I have friends that believe they have different spiritual beliefs and different religions and things like that. And I love them to death. I don't care. Like whatever works for them, man.
Absolutely.
Go for it, brother.
None of my business.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and I've heard some stuff that I was like, I've never even heard of that. But man, if it's working, dude, do your thing.
Well, and the acronyms that we've heard of in the rooms, like Group of Drunks, Good Orderly Direction.
Yeah. I think it's important to understand that Bill says he's telling us he's getting into these 12 steps right here. He's telling us right here. Remember that we deal with alcohol. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. We got to have help. Then he jumps off into there. There is one who has all power, which means there's one. It's capitalized. There's only one that has all power, and we're not it, okay? There is one that has all power. That one is God, not you. May you find him now. Right? So I think he's given us a preview into what's about to come up whenever we jump off into these 12 steps.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've done the 12 steps. So we're not, when we get ready to get to that part here, we're not going to go back to the 12 steps. Don't read them, but we've done them all. And that, I would encourage the reader to go back, and we've done all 12 steps. That's a good episode to hey, I want to, now that I've heard this, this episode here on how it works, I'm going to go back and listen to step 1.
Yeah.
And get their experience, right? I'm going to go back and listen to step 2 and get that experience. And so that's a good time for them to stop and reflect, go back, right?
Yeah.
And a good time to just, catch up. So here's one that it breaks off. I'm going to break it off into 2 parts, right? And it's one sentence, but I'm going to break it off into 2 parts. Half measures.
Yeah,
It's one of those you words, Jill. It's measures is how we say it in Texas. Half measures availed us nothing. What you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of half measures. It was mostly, thinking I could put a little bit in to get out the result I wanted, or I've heard people say, "Oh, I switched from beer to vodka or dark to whatever," and it's trying to find a way out of it and outthink it, and it all came down to it. It had to be total abstinence, and then learn a new way to act and live. So
I think of it as, like in my experience, half measures availed us nothing. That was pretty much my whole life before I got sober. I was a half-asser. I procrastinated, and normally I never completed anything. I had that all or nothing mindset. And if I would have gone into the steps doing that same thing that I'd done before, it just wouldn't have happened. Like I had to 100%, put myself into those steps.
Half measures.
Yeah.
If you think half measures availed us nothing, right? And man, that's key, right? What you just said right there. Like a half-asser my whole life, I wasn't, but I'm saying, I mean, it was an all or nothing thing. If something made me feel better, I did it 100%.
Yeah.
And if it didn't make me feel better, I didn't do it 100%. If I don't like mowing the grass, so I half-ass mow the grass.
yeah,
I remember when I was a kid, I didn't like weed eating, right? You know what I'm talking about, Matt? When you take a weed eater and you go around the yard, and we had a cyclone fence, and I hate cyclone fences, and they eat up weed eating string. Like you constantly have to stop. And we lived in our yard was like 1/4 acre, and only the back was fenced in. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I got old enough to start changing my own oil, I would get that oil and go around the yard and pour it around.
God made Roundup.
Pour around the fence line. Well, you say that now, but a lot of folks were kind of wishing they had to use Roundup. But I poured that oil along the fence line, and still to this day, I'm 51 years old. My parents can't grow grass around their fence. You're welcome, by the way.
Permanente. The gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, yeah. There's a little groundwater problem, but still, if you think about it, though, I mean, the half measure was in the whole measure was in killing that grass.
A lot of people in that neighborhood have 3 legs. So just say it's been there
Well, I tell you
years.
what, field day is a ball around there when they get into the 3-legged race. So, a lot of gold medals hanging up from the... Yeah.
12-toed people.
Well, none of the trees grow over 4 feet tall. So they hang everything on the trees.
That was that
out
real
there.
motor oil back in the 70s, dude.
It wasn't synthetic. That's
That was
for
the
sure.
one that-
It's pure dinosaur poop.
Yeah. That's the real deal.
But half measures in anything. I wish Chris was here today. Chris works out. He could tell you. Those guys who half-ass it don't even make it to any of the.
Yeah.
If it seems like too much, but guys like him, who, he goes to the gym every morning at 3 or 4. He only eats certain foods. He has a routine. He does all these, and he has a job, but he doesn't half-ass it. And it avails him something. He gets to compete competitively in these things because he has the discipline.
And you read. I watch a lot of things on, Nick Saban, Kobe Bryant, people like that are the greatest person in their field, every one of them will tell you it's an obsession. Like they have to go at it 1,000,000% until they're done. And
Yeah.
that's the only way they got where they're at. You know, it just doesn't work any other way. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you start listening to that kind of stuff and, you know, and all the best at what they do, whatever field that is. Yeah. And Chris is, man, he's like the greatest example of just textbook AA. Go to my meetings. I call my sponsor. I do. I mean, the guy does everything you ask him to do or that we ask him to do. And he's just flourished.
And half measures, especially in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. What you ever heard of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? There's 3 steppers.
I got a bunch of those.
Yeah,
I know.
You ever heard of that?
I don't know if I have. What are you talking about?
Basically, people who just do step 1, 2,
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you need some, I got some phone numbers.
No thanks. No thanks. No, I haven't had a whole lot of those.
Yeah. I think here's been my experience with that. You get out of treatment or you come in the door and you're fired up and you're like, I've got to make a change. And everybody's so excited. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions. That's kind of what 1, 2, 3 is. And man, I'm going to get this. I'm going to, and it's great. And then life starts happening, which is what the dang program is all about anyway. It's not there for the easy stuff. This is there to teach you how to live actual life, you know?
Yeah.
And then stuff starts happening and they go, oh, wait a minute. This is a grind. This is a one day at a time, like every single day. You don't get to, you get to 6 months one day at a time and then it jumps to 2 years. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens, you know? And then all of a sudden, all those little things that we keep saying, go to meetings, call, you know, sponsor, all those good things, they just kind of start fading off and there we go again.
Well, I think a lot of people also, speaking of half measures, will try something and it doesn't turn out the way they want to. And then they're like, bye. And I think with a lot of success, with all successful people, there will be failures, but what they do is get back up and continue this journey. And a lot of people may just, something happens and they're out and they don't come back.
Yeah.
And you know, if they're really, you know, fortunately, a lot of them do get to that place. They do okay for a few months and then they slide back, or 6 months or whatever it is. And then they go, okay, I see what I did. You know, I see some of our people come in treatment that we're in groups with, and I always go up to them and I go, what do you think happened? Every time it's the same answer. Oh, I quit. I was working a lot, and then I didn't call my sponsor, and I
quit praying.
And I look at them and I go, what do we say all the time? And they go, I know. And I go, okay, just as long as you know, keep rocking, you know.
Come on back.
So, yeah.
I mean, hell, keep going where you're going. You keep going where you're going.
Glad they're alive, you know.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I've had 2 or 3 of those conversations this year.
So half measures availed us nothing, Matt. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested of a program of recovery. And go back. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Let's go back to, again, this. We. Who is we? Well, according to the way this reads, it's the first, 80 or 100 people that were doing this, and it was working. And they said, hey, we stood at the turning point. All we could do is just say, hey, God, I need your protection and care. I give up. I'm just going to throw myself into this program and see what happens with my life.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hard. That's hard to do.
Yep.
And to me, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
The turning point with the crossroads, and it's just like that place where it's like, okay, you either do or you die. You have to make a decision.
That is a key spot. If you have a hard time understanding that I have to stop what I'm doing right now, not tomorrow, not January 1st, right this minute, and get up and go do something. Call that guy that I heard, or talk to that guy that I heard on a podcast, or talk to that guy that I seen in AA. I've got to do something right this minute. If not, I'm going to die. If you haven't got that far, alcohol just hadn't whooped your ass enough.
Yeah.
You'll get it.
And It's a place of God. I mean, do y'all remember that? It was, I had so much fear and like I didn't know what would happen next. And that scared the hell out of me too. I knew that it would probably be something big. I couldn't even fathom or wrap my head around it.
I had a conversation with a guy today at work, a client, and he was talking about a female relationship issue, brokenhearted. Just, going through it. And we sat out there and talked, and he said, I don't know why God does this to me. I had a great relationship, and then all this stuff happened. And I said, let me stop you for a minute. I said, you're saying God did it to you. God doesn't just do stuff to you. And I said, the thing you're looking at is bad right now. You could look at it in 6 months and go, oh, that was great. Like that totally changed the direction I was going, and I didn't like it at the time. And he's like, I don't believe that. I had this girl. And I'm like, yeah. And then listening to the story, I'm thinking, yeah, you need to let her go. But, but it's funny how our attitude changes on that. And when crazy stuff happens, sometimes we have to kind of gut through it a little bit and just trust the process. And it's funny how those big incidents, you can look back and go, oh, that was a turning point in whatever it might be, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, something has to happen to cause us to let go of our old ideas, to cause us to be at that turning point where we just say, F it. For lack of better terms, Jesus, take the wheel. You know what I mean? God, I'm done. God, help me. I'm giving it all to you. All I'm going to do is pick myself up and go to a meeting and just sit there and talk to somebody. That's where I was. I mean, I had a pretty good life, man. Besides, wanting to die all the time, I had a pretty good life when it comes to stuff, material stuff, income. When it comes to relationships with my children, my ex-wife, none of that. I had none of that. I didn't have any relationships with any people. Nobody. And I was wondering, what's going to happen with my stuff? Am I not going to be able to drive a cool car? Am I not going to be able to? All these things go through my head, and I was dying. So finally, I just had to say, "F it, dude." I want to see what happens if I just jump in the water, even though I know I can't swim.
And I think we also, this is another thing I've noticed. We have this grand expectation that, hey man, I'm 2 weeks sober now, so all my problems have went away. No. I spent 20 years causing them. They're going to be years to fix them if they get fixed at all.
Yeah.
Because my relationships with people may not even be repairable, but for some reason I see a lot of come in and, oh, my wife's going to run back to me and my kids are going to love me again. Well, maybe not, and that's another 1, 2, 3 step deal. I think sometimes you get as people doing it to check a box and go, okay, well, I went to those meetings and, she's still filing divorce. I don't understand. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Here's where we actually pick back up. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged."
That was me. What the hell did you just read? That's how I felt when I...
Well, I mean, I just heard step 9. That's all I heard. And I'm not making amends to anybody.
Yeah, mine, it was total jibber jabber. I think I just saw like God and higher power, and I was like, spiritual experience. I was like,
See ya.
yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they don't know me. This can't fix me.
Here's the arrogance of me. I roll in a treatment center the first day, okay, after 20 plus years of using and stuff. And I'm standing in front of my counselor and she's explaining, well, this is what we're going to do. And I mean, I've been in there 5 minutes, okay? And I look at her and go, you know what? I'm going to try this for a year. I said, I'll give it a year. And she looked at me and she goes, you're high right now. Like, you haven't even been able to do it a day. Like, and I'm going, oh yeah, that's right. But I'm making these deals. Like,
You're making the rules here.
Yeah, I got it. And she quickly ran down the checklist of things that I came in there with and issues. And I went, okay, I'll shut up now.
Well, just don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I was 100% discouraged.
I just heard step 9.
I mean, like,
Nope.
how could they expect you not to be discouraged if this is what you're putting in front of me? I mean, like, that is like alien.
But you're thinking at that point with an alcoholic brain. You haven't even
Exactly.
went through the things one by one. And
Right.
the work that goes into taking that step.
Here's where the
you don't know
blessing
what you're getting
too
into.
with me was we did 1, 2, and 3 kind of in treatment. I got out, got a sponsor. We started 1, 2, and 3 over. I didn't really look that far ahead, like it was once we got to it, it was like, okay. And I kind of was approaching it as we got close, but
Yeah.
I wasn't even that like far ahead. With
I didn't even think I knew how to think ahead at
I was
that
on
point.
autopilot. I was just like, whatever we need to do, we'll do. And I'm just going to worry about that. And so, yeah, it was a deal when we got there to it, but I didn't have that dread of, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. So, no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. A very important line that I do not want to overlook, because about the only thing I have done flawlessly is not drink.
Correct.
That's it.
I agree. I mean, like, not with you, but yes.
I mean, about the only thing I've done completely, man, none of this has been perfect. None of it has been, some of it is, dragging out a ninth step, not doing a whole fourth step, not telling everything on my fifth step. Go back over the years, and none of it was perfect. About all I've done, I prayed every day. I hadn't missed a day of prayer, and I haven't drank. And that's about it.
Coincidence?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Years later, you realize that the one who can solve your problem is whatever you call God, and may you find him now.
And when you go through here and you start down this, man, there's comes times, I'm in one of those right now with work and the time of year it is, I'm not sitting in a meeting every day, but my higher power's there with me all day long. So that prayer is still important to keep that routine,
Well, I think that God or whatever you believe in is going to allow things back into your life as you can handle them. Mm-hmm. And so, Matt, you're at a point where you could handle going to a meeting every day. Someone in a month of recovery or something, they may not be able to, have that luxury. But then they may not have that opportunity you have with the time of year in the yard. So it all kind of works together, but you got to have a lot of faith. And it's hard to have a lot of faith.
And, too, that being said, I don't mean to make light of not going to a meeting, because I came back the other night and it was Friday night. And if you see me at our club at Friday night at 8:00, buddy, let me tell you, I needed a meeting, brother. And I was driving home. It was dark and I went, I'm going to the meeting, and I was covered, dirty, nasty, and I didn't care. And I still go my butt. I may not always be on my regular schedule, but I will catch one, and always feel better when I do.
I like that you said the faith thing. I mean, I didn't know what faith meant coming into the program, and actually going through the steps and finding my higher power, and my spiritual awakening was having faith for the first time, because you told me if I took these steps, this is what would happen, and it did. And I was like, damn. Like that's huge to a person like me that didn't believe in anything before.
And using every day, drinking every day, and then I'm told pray in the morning, and I'm like, what do I pray about? Like I don't have nothing to pray about, so I would just. It was tough early on, and I was just like, man, this sucks. Like that was my prayer. I was like,
Well, I
this
guess
sucks. I mean, that's what I was praying. I was like, this is miserable.
praying only for
Like,
the knowledge of His will
do-
for us. man.
People do this, and then, but that developed, and I got to the end of that day, and I went, I didn't drink, I didn't get high, so something's going on, and then it continued, and it kind of sucked a little less, and I looked up and went, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought, and that's where it grew from, and that's just that was just me, it's how, but y'all told me to do that, so I did it. It wasn't maybe. I didn't sound like Billy Graham or something when I was praying, but
Yeah, lots of crying out just helped me.
yeah.
I mean, when I say
like,
crying out, I mean like sobbing.
Kind of like Matt. This sucks.
yeah, I mean, that's what that was. It was like, I can't do this. Like, who
Exactly.
does this who like is alive and awake without getting, high as a giraffe's ass every day? So, I mean, I didn't know you could even do that. And evidently you can. So, come to find out, who knew?
Well, we are not saints, Matt, in case you didn't know that.
I know I'm not.
Not cowboys, not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. We're willing to practice, willing being a key word.
Willingness, absolutely.
Practice a spiritual program. So the principles we have laid down are guides to progress. So we claim spiritual progress, not perfection. And that's not a cop-out. Progress, not perfection. Progress, that's not a cop-out for anybody. Striving for something is completely different than it even existing. I'll say this one thing. I am one of two things. I am either perfect or I'm honest. Okay? And
That's a good one.
the first principle is honesty. So I'm not following the first principle if I'm perfect.
Exactly.
So our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures, woohoo, before and after.
Adventures.
Before and after. What it's like, what happened, what it's like now. Make clear 3 pertinent ideas. And these are the ABCs of Alcoholics Anonymous. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own life. I can't do it by myself.
Facts.
I am powerless over alcohol, can't do it by myself. B, probably no human power could ever relieve my alcoholism. It's going to take something more than a human
Me.
to help me. It's going to take something more than myself or a human. I've got to seek a higher power. And C, that God could and would if he were solved. And that's very simple because a lot of times we don't think he's going to, but we haven't even asked. Not sincerely asked.
Or put the action in.
Or put the action in, which is where I like the way Jill put that, because a lot of times, not most of the time, every time, you got to do something in order to get whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So,
A lot of work.
but we're not saints. The point, we got to grow along these spiritual lines. I think that just if we take that as we broke it down and we look at how it works, it makes a little more sense, even to a newcomer, because it tells us how it works.
Yeah.
This is how it works right here.
Yep.
There's no hocus pocus. I'm gonna realize I'm powerless over alcohol, right? And then I'm gonna realize I can't do anything because I'm powerless. I have to have some help. So I'm gonna find some help, and I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna say, hey, here's my problem. I need you to help me with it. And then that whatever I trust is gonna have me do some inventories. And after I do some inventories, I'm going to do some self-inventories, the 6 and the 7s. And after I do that, then I'm going to start doing some external, making things right. And then after I do that, I'm just going to maintain it by doing the same thing I've done every day since I got sober, which is what a lot of us do now. Of course, we still got to make amends and stuff like that, and I still got some people on my ninth step after all these years. So.
Yep. Yep.
But we can't. One thing I don't want to do is use the term progress, not perfection, as a cop out. That can be just a number one cop out for a lot of folks. And that doesn't mean, man, there is a level of recovery, and you guys have hit it. I know you have, where you actually be like, I like this. I really like this. You know, it's kind of like that power band on a motorcycle.
Y'all, if you don't hear nothing else I say, 6 years, when I come up on a year birthday, usually 2 or 3 weeks before, I kind of start thinking back through that year from where I was the birthday before. It's amazing how far things go, and it feels so slow. It feels like nothing's happening. But when I sit and look in just 12 months and I go, wow, and I don't mean financially or something like that. I mean just internally, in the way I think and the way I act, the people around me, it's amazing. And I truly love to live this way today. And, you know, it's just a beautiful thing. So,
Isn't it, though?
I know, man, it really is. And, you know, I love to see people recover. I love to see people get their lives together. We are a unique bunch of characters. I love people anyway. So, you know, the wilder, the better as far as I'm concerned. But, when we get straightened out, there's no better employees on the planet. There's no better friends on the planet. There's not. And, you know, we bring a lot to the table. We just have to get through that little first part, you know? So
I have to agree with you, Matt.
Yep.
A lot. So that concludes this. You know, we did part 1 and part 2 on how it works. We got through it and didn't have a guest this time. Hopefully next time we'll have somebody lined up and be able to, you know, maybe even do a little private, you know, private dance. That don't even make sense.
I'm not going to be here for that.
I'm out.
I'm not
sick
doing
that day.
I'm not doing it either. No telling who's going to show up for that. But, you know, do a little, give their story. That's what give their story. So I'm not sure if Kenya was on our list of countries last time. I think they were, but that's the last country that has joined is Kenya. And a couple of folks that I know are traveling abroad, they're going to try to open up maybe a browser and listen to a podcast. So, you know, that might be cheating.
Know a couple of broads.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably wouldn't use that kind of language nowadays, but you know, you can call us. We have a voicemail line here. Here at the Grouch and the Brainstorm. It's area code 817-988-2530. You can call it. That's my work phone. I won't answer, but you can leave a voicemail, and we'll be glad to play it back. Did have a Anthony. Anthony, you know what I'm talking about? He reached out to me on Facebook, left me a real nice message. Glad to have him listening.
Yeah.
Man, I just like to hear these new listeners. So.
I met him New Year's Day at the club. He came in and, man, again, you can say the same thing about him you say about Chris C. Just does everything that we're supposed to do, and he's hammering away at it. I mean, he's full speed ahead, and he'll get the same result.
Proud to have him. Proud to have him on the team of listeners. Maybe we can get him in here one day, Matt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See, Matt's already got brain rolling.
Yeah.
So G&B Bozier at gmail.com is our email. I haven't got any emails in quite a while. You know, and maybe that's just, you know, some people just don't feel comfortable. If you got something you want to discuss, call, text, email, TikTok, and our website's probably 40% done. My daughter's working on it. She's going to get it rolling to where you can click a link to go to any episode that we have without having to do all the other stuff. And there'll be a couple of other quick links, you know, things going on locally, you know, and then maybe a couple things going on in your group out there. If you're a listener, if you want us to publicize it, Southwestern or Southeastern Louisiana Spring Roundup coming up here at the end of May, you know, so just some really good stuff. But I think for the most part, you know, we just want to make sure that our listeners have whatever it is that they need discussed. And, you know, and we don't want to leave out a topic. So, but anyway, we have been at Rule 62. We're in Bossier City, Louisiana, and we are the Grouch and the Brainstorm.